Life does bring lot of challenges in our lives, uh, from external sources, from our own environment, and so along, so forth, and so on. So, what do we do then? Definitely, we need to accept the challenge of whatever is there in front of us, and get ahead with this, because 30% of us, 30% of what happens in our life is done by us. Rest 70% is because we started doing something and universe is blessing us. Let us expect that universe blesses us. So first of all, I'll tell you, I'm reading Lewis Howes' The Law of Greatness, and I have been doing exercises along with it. But the main purpose is to read whatever he says, to understand what his viewpoints are, and then match with myself, whatever I'm thinking. After this, why I'm reading this today? Because I want to do some exercises. I'll start doing journaling after this. So the chapter is accept the challenge, right? When I joined Toastmasters to overcome my fear of public speaking, I received a workbook with 10 types of speeches to deliver. So let me share the screen so that we can take notes along with whatever we read. So the next chapter is accept the challenge, and it will be the short notes that we will be reading out here. As we move, we will keep on taking notes, but for right now, it is like this. And let me take one subject, wait, and keep it here. And or let me format it too. Or should I do something else also? I'll insert a new slide, take this portion there and keep it here so that the texts are okay. Okay. Each speech was to last from 5 to 7 minutes and forced me to practice a different technique. My first speech style was called the icebreaker. The goal was to tell an interesting story for 5 straight minutes about myself. I was absolutely icebreaker. A story about self, whoever is doing. So that is the icebreaker. I was absolutely terrified. There was no way I could make it through 5 minutes without blanking or stumbling over my words. Yet I went all in and did it. For other speeches, I practiced using props and presentation and focused on shaping intention and style. Like we are using the presentation out here. This is called a prop. However, the scariest part of the meetings for me was an exercise called table topics. In this activity, the leaders assigned us a random topic, and we had to stand up and deliver a 1 minute speech on that topic. So the next, whenever you are uh, practice with delivering speech and public speech, is table topic. First is icebreaker. Second is table topic, which is random topic. I knew I had to overcome this fear of public speaking and be able to verbally communicate my message in order to become successful in business. I set a goal to give my first free speech outside of Toastmasters within 3 months and my first paid speech within 9 months. That felt like an impossible goal, but I was all in. Sometimes I even attended 5 Toastmasters meeting in a single week. Just a minute. Hello? Hello? ମୁଁ ରେକର୍ଡ କରୁଥିଲି କଣ କହୁଛୁ ହ୍ୟାପି ହ୍ୟାପି ବର୍ଥଡେ କାହାର ବର୍ଥଡେ
କିଏ ହାପି ବର୍ଥଡେ କହିଛି
ସେ ଉପରେ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି
ମୋର ଥିଲା ଆଜି ଦେଖୁଛୁ
ଓ
ତ କାଢି ଦିଅ
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା
ମୋ ଫୋନ ଉପରେ ଦେଖୁଛି କୋଉଠି ହାପି ବର୍ଥଡେ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି
ଓ କଣ କରୁଛୁ
ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀର ଲୋଭରେ ଦିଟା ବହି
ହୁଁ
ତାପରେ 6:30 ସମଥିଙ୍ଗ ର ବହି
ହଁ
ଆଉ ସମଥିଙ୍ଗ କହିଲା
ହୁଁ କି ବହି
ତାର ସବୁ ସ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବା ଅଛି ଆଜି ବେକାର ତାରିଖ ଅନିଶ୍ଚିତ ତାରିଖ ଥିଲା ସାରି ଖେଳେ ସପ୍ତାହରେ ସବୁ
ହୁଁ
କୋଉଠି ଯାଉ
ଗ୍ରିଡି ହୁଁ ହୁଁ ହୁଁ
କଣ ଖାଇଲୁ
ଭାତ ଖାଇଲି ଆଉ କୋବି ବହୁତ ଦିନରୁ ରହି ଯାଇଥିଲା ସେ କୋବିଟାକୁ ଖାଇଦେଲି ଆଉ ଶାଗ ବସେଇଛି ଏବେ ଆଉ ଚାଲ ତତେ ଦେଖଉଛି ଶାଗ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ବସେଇଛି ଡାଲି ଦେଖିଲା ଆପଣ କୋଉଠି କି?
କଣ କରିବି?
ସେଟା କଣ ବନେଇଛି? ଗୁପଚୁପ ବନେଇଛି? ସେ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ୟାକେଟ ମିଳେ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଆଣିକି ଖାଇଦେବି କି?
ହଁ। ଆଉ କୋଉଠି ଆଉ ମିଳୁଛି?
ଆଉ ମାନସ କେତେବେଳେ ଆସିବ?
ବାହାରୁ
ସେ ଆସିକିରି ଗୁପଚୁପ ଖାଇବ?
ସେଇ କଣ ଖାଇବାକୁ ଯାଏ? ସେଇ ଖାଇବ ଚାଲ ଖାଇଲେ ଖାଇବ
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ So that was my daughter who was calling from Sweden. And so we have this dog and he really had made good bowl of it and very delicious in India. So we loved it. So he is in Sweden. He's missing the street food of India. Okay, back to our public speaking, accepting the challenge. I set a goal to my first free speak outside of Toastmasters within 3 months and my first paid speak within 9 months. That felt like an impossible goal. So whenever we set a goal, it feels like impossible, right? The goal that I am setting, let me write it. Impossible looking goal. And that is because this is coming from me. So this 10 crore a month. Right? This of course looks like very sensitive. You know, whenever we are doing this kind of setting, I do feel because so many failures are there within us is that whatever goal we set, kind of a courageous goal, it feels like fancy. But if it comes from within, that is what I'm told. Because I'm watching Abraham speak all the time. He says, whatever comes to your mind, do not rationalize it. Because that is going up the street. Let us think of whatever your mind has said or whatever your inner being has said. So I'm not ready. This was an impossible looking goal. But I was all in. Sometimes I have attended 5 Toastmasters meetings in a single day. The mentor who advised me to attend Toastmasters also encouraged me to take a baptism by fire approach and choose the group that scared me the most. And when I came across a group of professional speakers, I thought, crap, this is where I need to be. So there I was. A 24-year-old born in a room of suited of professionals in their 40s and 50s. For a year, I obsessed over fully participating in this show, fine-tuning my presentation skills. Then it happened. Just a For a year, I obsessed over fully participating in this group, fine-tuning my presentation skills. Then it happened. I got my first free speech through LinkedIn. It was a 30-minute local community gig. Nothing big, but it was the next step toward my goal. Then I got a speaking engagement that paid $500. Before I knew it, I was delivering speeches for over 5,000 dollars per speech. Even when I started making that kind of money, it never got through. I had to consistently advocate for myself by helping people and forming connections. I did this all while giving myself permission to be the professional speaker I previously thought was impossible and going all in on the challenge, putting myself in a constant state of discomfort. I believe a lot of our social fears, like the fear of public speaking, come down to community boundaries. We see a community we are not part of and think I don't fit, I don't belong, I am not accepted here yet. This is a community and they speak a language that I don't know. This sense of being an outsider was especially strong when I decided to learn how to salsa dance. I confess I really struggle with the intricate footwork and believe me, I was acutely aware that I was a tall white man who just could not dance. A lot of the women I asked to dance turned me down again and again. For 3 to 4 times a week for about 3.5 months, I faced the fear though, and it helped me to learn to love myself even when everyone else was rejecting me. I learned how to stay committed to the group, and I eventually became fluent in the dance. A lot of people care so much about being accepted by the people in a community that they don't try new things long enough. Even at this stage of my life, I still force myself to dwell in the uncomfortable. The only reason I feel able to this judgment is because I have learned to be okay with myself. I have already given myself all the approval I need so I can risk getting rejection and endure friction to learn something new. For example, I am currently learning Spanish. It is uncomfortable because it is part of a community to which I don't fully belong yet. Yet, while I realize my accent might not be correct, I speak Spanish with my girlfriend and her friends and family and stay committed to the style. Meeting new challenges is always going to be uncomfortable. But if you can make the uncomfortable fun, then you are already halfway to overcoming your fear. When I began practicing public speaking, I found a more experienced speaker who was probably 15 years older than me to coach me one-on-one. He reminded me that the people I spoke in front of a Toastmaster all wanted to see me speak. So here is the point. The audience who are nervous about want you to succeed. He also gave me the support I needed to forgive myself, not just for making mistakes, but also for my procrastination. We put a lot of shame and guilt on ourselves when we are not best we think we should be in life. All this does is delay progress more. It does not matter if you wanted to do something years ago. You are doing it now. Rather than beating yourself up over hesitation in the past, it is much more useful to tell yourself, I haven't had the tools, courage, or confidence to take this on before. But now I'm all in. Giving myself permission to have fun was also I learned to deal with the discomfort of networking. I used to always be the youngest person in the room in the business world and didn't have experience. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything, but I found a way to get into a room, to get to dinner table, and to meet with the influential people because I was playful. I would joke. I would ask funny questions. I was curious and I made it a game. I could create fun challenges for myself. There is a speaker on stage. How can I meet him after? What can I do to get in the same room with him? This approach had to led to a pretty cool door opening for me, simply because I went all in and had fun doing it. Back when I was virtually on loan, I saw that Tim Ferriss was doing a conference where he trying to share all his secrets on how he wrote and launched the New York Times bestseller. My only problem was that the tickets were $10,000. I thought, well, I want to go to this event, but I can't afford to pay for a ticket. So what would it take for me to get in free? Actually, what would it take to be able to give a speech at this event? Actually, what would it take for me to have Tim Ferriss interview me on stage? It was the ultimate impossibility, but I dared to ask. In order to be possible, what would need to happen? What would need to happen for this impossible goal? And so, that's the thing, and this is how we start to uncode, decode what we want to do, right? So, to begin with, what we do, to be open to that. Oh, yeah. So, I had met Tim Ferriss assistant Charlie at a conference a couple of times and discovered he was helping launch this event. I learned the event was going to be all about book marketing and book launching. I said to Charlie, "We have got all these big deals, all these fancy people, but no one is talking about virtual bookstores. I haven't even written a book yet, but I had some good relationships within that field. And I had a perfect case study for the topic. In a webinar with Gary Vaynerchuk, I promoted his book and sold 800 copies. So, isn't it? And make a playful game. All just like I broke down the framework for Charlie, showed him the case study, and laid out how beneficial the topic would be for those in attendance. I ended by asking Charlie to run the idea by him and told him I was happy to do it for free. To my shock, I soon found myself giving my idea of a three-way call with Charlie and Bill. And they said, okay, let's do it. Fully, are you kidding me? So I sat on stage in front of an audience that had spent 10 grand to be there, and yet Tim Ferriss interviewed me, a nobody who dared to ask, what would it take to be possible? That is how you pursue greatness. Give yourself permission to tackle the things you want and accept the challenge and go all in. The value of a challenge, as anyone who follows you will know, love challenges, I get energized by taking, tackling a 30, 60, or 90-day challenge and overcoming it. If you want to become fearless, you have to take off the item on your fear list by going all in on your fear until the fear disappears. I start by taking one fear at a time and creating challenges to help face it. When I was younger, I was afraid to talk to girls. I asked myself, how can I overcome that through a challenge? I committed to talking to a girl every day for the entire summer. By the end of the summer, I had all the confidence in the world. At age 17, I was confidently talking with a 40-year-old woman, simply as a challenge to see if I could. I discovered that with every fear I overcame, I believed myself more capable of going into the next fear challenge. Overcoming my fear of speaking to women gave me the boost I needed to face my fear of rejection in South Sudan. The details of the fear didn't matter as much as the fact that I was proving to myself that I could overcome my fear. Because I could learn to talk to women and South Sudan, that confidence transferred into believing I could be a public speaker, make successful webinars, and write a best-selling book. Once you can identify your core fear, you can go all in on that fear. Nothing is more empowering than facing the fear that controls you. Face the fear that controls you. The key to overcoming fears is self-assessment and action. Create 30, 60, 90 days challenges for one of your fears actions and what your confidence tiger. So here my fear is 30 the challenge to stick to the heaven worship every day. The enemy of this all-in mentality is procrastination. Once again, my friend and author, Rory Vaden, he shared with me that psychologists say the cause of procrastination is self-criticism. That inner voice starts saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Then you find yourself thinking, why bother? But when you realize that you are enough right now, you can take the step to also become more. I do not believe anyone truly wants to feel a graduation. Yet, most people say they feel stuck in their life. Why do so many of us remain in a space? We do not want to be Kathy Milkman, economist and professor at Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. There's an interesting light on this subject. He says people have internal barriers. The greatest of which is a status quo bias. This is the idea that people tend to keep to the path they know. Any change from their path is risky, so risky that they are willing to endure a lesser path if it is familiar. That is why, in my experience, living a good life is one of the hardest spots to get out of. The person who is 80% happy with their good life often feels too comfortable to risk trying for a great life. Act now. Rory Biden gave me a helpful way of thinking about talent. He said everyone wants to avoid pain, even small pain like boredom. We procrastinate too. avoid unpleasant. But the reality is that we do not always get to choose if we will experience discomfort. Sometimes our only choice is whether we go through that discomfort now or later, when the pain has accumulated. With this mentality, the time spent in discomfort does not seem like a sacrifice. It is a short-term down payment on a richer future. Rory calls this practice taking the stairs and states the shortest, most guaranteed path to the easy life is to do the hardest part of things as soon as possible. Do the hardest part as soon as possible. Notice that this practice is not about working harder. You are actually taking the easier path this way. What it does take is discipline? This idea rolls right into a concept discussed by Gary McKeown, best-selling author of Essentialism and Effortless. Greg teaches the disciplined pursuit of less, which is the antidote to priority dilution. Focus on a few important things at the price of all the frivolous things. You will be tempted to lose focus, but that is when we remember that you do the hard thing now to avoid harder things later. Take massive action to create momentum and see changes happen. If you are one of the many people who struggle with one or more forms of procrastination, don't beat yourself up. You are just operating from a place of survival. It is normal to want conserve energy. But according to Rory, procrastination only conserves physical energy, when most of the energy involved in decision making is emotional energy. Working out is a perfect example of this. Often the emotional energy spent getting to the gym is greater than the physical energy of the workout. This is because we procrastinate and exaggerate how painful the task will be. Now, I am going to be completely honest with you here. Going all in is going to be painful at times. Sometimes you will have to make some scary leaps without both feet into the unknown. Katie Milkman and her fellow researchers have discovered a phenomenon called the fresh start effect that could help people tackle challenges. Motivation is to change tends to fluctuate depending on a number of factors, such as business, energy, optimism. With so many factors, these fluctuations can seem random, but Katie's team found a pattern. As it turned out, people respond to certain moments that mark a fresh start. Those moments can be a new year, a birthday, the first day of a new job, or even a Monday. We tend to step back in these moments and reflect on our lives, goals, or priorities. Depending on the fresh start, it can even feel like an identity change. For example, when a child turns 18, they might feel a shift because they are legally an adult. This shift means new rules, responsibilities, and privileges, and such a switch can inspire other changes. Knowing and harnessing the power of this fresh start effect can empower you to intentionally build fresh starts into your life more often and make the most of them. Another way to set yourself up for facing challenges is to use New York Times best-selling author Sean Acker's 20-second rule. With this rule, 20-second rule. With this rule, you strategically control the amount of energy required for any activity. You base this amount of energy on whether it is something you want to do more or less. For example, if you want to decrease how often you want Netflix, you might delete the app from your computer and prevent Netflix logging you in automatically. This way, If you want to watch Netflix, you have to search the web for the website and type in your credentials to access it. Just this little extra effort might deter you from mindlessly gravitating to Netflix. On the other hand, if you want to cook at home more often, you might invest in pre-washed and cut vegetables or other prepped ingredients to decrease the amount of energy required. In other words, you have more control than you might think about tackling a challenge to push past fears or make significant life changes. I recently challenged myself to run in the LA Marathon. Although I spent a long time building up my endurance, I never actually ran a full test run. In fact, this week before the marathon, I ran about 13 miles, half the full marathon distance, and that just about wrecked me. I was so sore that I didn't run at all the entire week before the marathon. It would have been easy to believe I was underqualified and underprepared and just quit. But luckily, I had already given myself permission to take imperfect action and committed to tackling the challenge. Take imperfect action to tackle the challenge. The thing that got me through was telling myself the marathon is not going to be hard. It is going to be fun. I made a plan to keep it fun. I decided I would walk up every hill and past every water station. When the day came, I didn't deviate from that plan. Every time there was a little hill, I walked. Every time there was a place to get water, I walked while I drank, and then I started jogging again. For 26 miles, I smiled at people with their signs and exchanged high fives. I laughed and marveled at what my body was doing. I didn't try to race at all. I just enjoyed the process. And you know what? I finished the marathon in less time than I thought I would, and I felt great. When I first took on the challenge on running marathon, I thought I would never do it again. Then, just a few days after I finished that first local one, I registered for the New York City Marathon. Challenges help us work toward who we want to become. I boxed with a guy at the gym whose weight was fluctuated a lot in a huge swings over 10 years. When I asked his trainer why this happens, he said it is because if the guy doesn't have another challenge as soon as he finishes the current one, he goes back to his former lifestyle. Right now, he's training for a big boxing match, so he is eating right and he has lost a lot of weight. But already he is afraid he will gain the weight back after the match unless he takes on something else. Challenge yourself. Challenges give you consistency in your life, encourage self reflection, and build confidence. Always have two challenges, one under your feet and one queued up to tackle next. So, always have two challenges lined up. To get you started, here are some activities to help you identify and accept your first challenge. Pursue the impossible. I created an unbelievable opportunity for myself when I secured a public platform in front of Team Paris. Initially, that team seemed outrageous. I made it happen by asking myself, what would it take to make it possible? I gave myself permission to dream really big, and I went after it, not knowing if it would pan out. This exercise will help you make a plan to go all in your impossible dream. Identify your challenge. Reread your meaningful mission manifesto. Think of the ultimate accomplishment that would launch you on the path to achieving this mission. Do not hold back. Think of the most impossible thing and write it down. Ask it, ask what it would take. My dream to be interviewed by Tim Ferriss required developing a relationship with Ferriss' assistant. Therefore, my first step was to capitalize on encounters with his assistant and reach out to him. What would it take for your impossible dream to be possible? What are the steps you can take right now to get closer to that impossible dream? Be as specific as you can. Step 3, make the uncomfortable fun. Some, if not all, of the steps you just listed might make you squirm a bit. Joining Toastmasters was just about my worst nightmare, but it was the step I needed to take to meet my seemingly impossible goal of a free speech invitation. To make the process bearable, turn the uncomfortable task into games. You can try to beat your personal best or give yourself a time limit to complete a mini task. You can even make a game of looking for humor in uncomfortable or taxing situations. Choose one of the steps you listed in step 2 and come up with a plan to make it fun. Lean into the curiosity. You may have struggled with that last step. Maybe you were thinking, Luis, you don't understand. I'm terrified of this challenge. If that is you, try leaning into what makes you curious about that thing that scares you. I would see people giving these incredible speeches in movies and think, man, that uh, looks exciting. And I would wonder what it felt like to be on stage and influence people in a positive way. Just like I did when those table topics got to be too much. Remember that curiosity. The 30-day game plan. Our brains are wired to think in story form. If we think of our lives as stories, each new chapter is a fresh start. A birthday is a fresh start. A graduation is a fresh start. Even a new morning can be a fresh start. This exercise capitalizes on Cathy Milkman's fresh start concept by building benchmarks onto your schedule. Fresh start by building benchmarks or milestones. Beads. Choose a goal. Choose a goal you want to accomplish in the next month and write it down. Deconstruct your goal. Break down your goal into smaller goals. For example, if your big goal is to land a job more in line with your passion, your smaller goals might be to update your resume, set up job alerts on popular sites, review possible jobs, and fill out applications. List the small goals you need to accomplish to reach your larger goals. Organize the small goals. Of the small goals you listed, which ones you can complete in 3 days? Of the small goals you listed, which one can you complete in 1 week? Of the small goals you listed, which ones can you complete in 30 days? Indicate fresh starts. Create a visual on your calendar to indicate the 3 day, 1 week, or 30-day checkpoints. You might use stickers, a symbol, or a meaningful word. Try to choose something celebratory. These are your fresh starts. Refer back to the exercise and check off the small goals at their various checkpoints as you complete them. Reflect. At 3 days, 1 week, and 30 days. Come back to this space and reflect on the window of time that just passed and write down your thoughts. Use these prompts to generate throughout if you get stuck. So the third will be reflect. How do you reflect? How do you feel about what you accomplished. Is there anything you would change about the way you spent your time? Did you spend too much time on any task? What did you find challenging about working with this deadline? Is there anything you want to do differently for the next deadline? Protect your time. It is usually best to give yourself tight deadlines because it forces you to accept imperfection. For example, if you want to write a blog post, you might give yourself 3 days to complete a rough draft, revise it, and post it. The goal is to take action and see what it results you can create. You not only protect your time this way, you also create momentum and build your confidence each time you meet a goal and reach a fresh start. So this is how you accept the challenge. And yes, we all can do a lot of journaling along with this so that we mm, keep on going. The most important thing is to keep on going on whatever we have decided. So hope this helps, and we will take up another challenge. As I told you, just after this, I am going to actually do a questioning. What would it take? What needs to happen, and what would it take for me to accept that challenge? So let me also find out that goal. I'm not afraid of that goal. I'm willing to do anything. But right now, that logical game plan is not offering. So what I'll do is I'll start writing wild things, whatever comes to my mind. And once that is reached, I'll definitely have other subplots, small ones, and I'll keep trying those. And I also challenge you to take that challenge and also achieve your game plan. It will not happen in a day if it is a very huge goal, but still let us challenge ourselves and become great. Thank you.